This podcast discusses domestic violence, abuse, and other sensitive topics. Listener discretion is advised.
Healing, it can get so very messy, but when you talk about it can feel so healthy. Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Hey, let's talk about it. Hey. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Healing Gets Messy. And I'm your host and your new bestie, Eilena. How are y'all doing today? I can't believe it. This is the second episode. Woo! Baby, we made it. Hey, we talking about trauma over here and we processing it. That's the whole point of this podcast, by the way. If you're sitting there kind of wondering, like, what's really going on? I know I kind of explained it in the first episode, but this whole point of this podcast, Healing Gets Messy, is just to talk about growth. Is to talk about growth. Talk about how you can be here in life. That doesn't mean 5 years from now you can't be up here in life. When you are down, you can come back up. That's the only way to go. We also have some guest appearances. We actually got a 2-for-1 deal today, y'all. This is my dog, Major. Major has been with me through thick and thin. I have had him since he was 6 weeks old, guys. 6 weeks old, I've had him. Isn't that crazy? He's 8 now. Like he's an old man now, but he's my old man. If you don't believe these stories I tell you, you can just ask him about it. He was there through it all. Major's my star witness. We also have Mango. Mango, he really is a guest appearance. Major, y'all gonna see him all the time. Mango, I don't know. He just decided to be in here today. Don't mind the petting zoo that's up in here. They ain't gonna bother us. So just buckle up, Buttercup, and let's get into these stories. Now, before we get started, I just want to say, if you want to ask me a question that you want me to answer in a future episode, or maybe you have a topic that you'd love for me to cover on here, maybe you want to be a guest on Healing Gets Messy, maybe you want me on your podcast, hit me up, follow me. All of my socials and handles will be listed here. So let's get into today's episode. What are we here for today? Well, let's see. So in the first episode, we dived into potential land and how dating the potential doesn't take away from the reality of the situation and how so many people, including myself, fall in love with the potential. So I wanted to kind of piggyback off that today and talk about why we don't believe people when they show us who they are. I am so good at this. I love just thinking people aren't who they show me they are. And it takes a lot of growth, work, and effort to get out of that mindset. Emphasis on the effort. So yeah, that's what we're talking about today. I don't want to waste any more time with my jibber jabber and hoopla. So let's just go ahead and jump in today's episode. Today, I want to skip to a different relationship I had. This relationship I had before I met Bobby. So for sake of name calling, we'll say his name is Billy. Billy and I also had a crazy relationship. He was my first serious, real boyfriend, or at least who I took as my boyfriend. And Billy's relationship and me, it was just crazy. It was chaotic. So let's start from the beginning. I was working as a bartender, right? Doing my thing, making drinks, prepping food, all that stuff, working behind the bar. Billy walks in one day. He's looking at me. I'm looking at him. We looking at each other. He showed me who he was right from the beginning. I didn't listen to it. I just kept living off in La La Land. Everything's great over here. Billy had some issues. Don't get me wrong. I also got issues, but we're not focused on me today. We're talking about Billy. When you're young, dumb, and naive and just not thinking about that kind of stuff, you don't take heed to those kinds of situations. My relationship with Billy revolved around drugs. I tried a lot of drugs from the influence of Billy. Thank God I have never been addicted to drugs. I've never had to deal with the turmoil of addiction, but it is a real thing, honey. And a lot of people, one day they go from partying and just hanging out and trying stuff to being a full-blown addict. And I truly believe that's kind of what happened to Billy. And I think sometimes when people think of addict, they might think of like the crackhead on the corner, by like the 7-Eleven downtown, just talking to themselves. And don't get me wrong, that's a real deal. But Billy, he wasn't really like that. He was more of like a functioning drug addict. He like showed me he was a drug addict, but he ain't really like show me. And I think that's also where a lot of my naivety, you know what I'm trying to say, like where I was unaware. Let's just put it that way. I ain't even gonna try. I ain't got a dictionary on me, but you know what I'm trying to say. Hopefully you picking up what I'm putting down. So From the very beginning, there was a lot of drugs involved. Being around Billy, I got to see all kinds of addicts and the behaviors of them. And Lord Jesus, that was a ride and a half. I've seen all kinds of stuff. I remember one time I went to Billy's house and I had to use the restroom. So I'm walking to the restroom. I get to the restroom. I open the door and there's a man laying on the floor with his head propped up against the toilet. So his stomach's down, head up against the toilet, laying there. I thought he was dead, y'all. I walk back out and I tell Billy and his roommate, hey, there's a dead guy on the bathroom floor. Turns out he wasn't dead. He was just really high off drugs. I didn't know none of these things. I was so naive. I didn't realize that kind of stuff. So I was definitely exposed to a lot of things dealing with Billy. I didn't take heed to none of that. I just kind of went on about my life. I guess you could say I had the mindset of I'm not doing those things, so it doesn't really affect me, right?
Okay.
But you know that saying, you are who you hang out with? It's a true statement. And it might not happen right away, but birds of a feather, they flock together. Just remember that. Eventually, we ended up moving in together. It was a very fast paced relationship. I tend to have a pattern. Because same thing with Bobby. I moved in with him almost immediately. With Billy, we moved in together almost immediately. We were living together, all that good jazz. And I remember one night, I can't exactly remember what happened or how this argument started or a little tiff we had, but I do remember how I felt. And I remember feeling like I don't really want to be around this. So I remember telling him something along the lines of, you can't do this or that, then you're going to have to leave. Oh, that was the wrong thing to say. See, in relationships, especially abusive and unhealthy, toxic relationships, they all start out with wearing this mask. The green flag mask, right? The good guy mask.
You'll always be a villain.
I'm a good guy. I am a good guy. I'm a good guy. I'm a good guy. I'm a good guy.
But slowly and surely, that mask starts to fall off. And that's what happened with Billy. And this particular night, when I told him, hey, if this keeps going on, like, I don't really know if we can live together. Oh, he was livid. I should have never said that. I saw a different side of him. I feel like his eyes changed, his body tensed up, he became violent. He basically told me a little bit of vulgar language here. I'm just going to be honest with y'all.
I wish you would try to kick me the fuck out of my house. This is my shit. You ain't gonna kick me out, bitch.
I didn't know what to say. Even though I was the one paying the bills and my name was on the lease. So after that, I just can remember thinking like, this is not a good situation. I feel like I already had some thoughts like that, but that was the first moment that I really remember where I was like, what have I gotten myself into? And that was the beginning of our relationship. I was with Billy on and off for over 2 years. 2 years. And this incident happened at the beginning of our relationship. I didn't believe who he was. He literally showed me who he was and I didn't believe it. Billy was a problem. I should have never been dating someone like him. Billy, I love to pick the winners. You will see throughout this podcast and especially through the relationship mini series that I'm going to be doing. I love to pick the winners. See, Billy, he was the pick of the batch, right? He was the ripest apple in the barn or whatever. I don't know, y'all. Billy was on probation and parole. Where they do that at, I have no idea, but he was on both.
Bruh.
I told y'all I picked the winners. Hanging out with Billy, we was riding around the car with drugs and alcohol and guns and other felons, other drug addicts.
Are you crazy? Are you out of your mind?
It was a hot mess express, and I'm over there in La La Land. Oh yeah, me and my man love me. Oh no, he loved them drugs, baby. I was just real confused.
I'm confused.
Billy just did not care when it came to his probation and parole. Again, I was so naive though. I knew nothing about the legal system. I had no idea just how much he was disrespecting the law. He just did not care. When he would go into his check-in appointments, he would literally tell his probation officer, his parole officer, I'm not going to drug test today, but you can mark me for failing weed.
Huh?
And they would just let him go. This happened month after month. He would do this stuff, which is just so crazy to me looking back at it that he never got violated. But that's a whole nother story. Eventually, me and Billy, we start going places outside of Missouri. We were literally violating his probation and parole by even just doing that. Because y'all already know he was doing this without permission. I guess he was also delusional because he was acting like he was not on probation and parole. I'm going to talk about the first time Billy put his hands on me. Mind you, things have been leading up to this. He's never put his hands on me, but his mask has slipped a few times in terms of just being mean or saying something really rude, things like that. So one morning, I wanted some coffee, right? I like to drink coffee. I'm a coffee drinker. That's just my thing, okay? I wanted to drink coffee. So me and Billy got in the car. I'm driving and we're driving to McDonald's. As we're driving to McDonald's, I'm sitting there talking to him. I'm just blabbing off, whatever, talking. And whatever I was talking about, it was something he should have known about, right? Just something simple. I remember him being like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't remember, something like that. And I told him sarcastically, because if you haven't noticed, I could be a little on the sarcastic side. He wasn't knowing what I was talking about. And I said, you never pay attention when I talk. As soon as I finish the word talk, as I'm driving, Billy, boom, punches me in the face. Doesn't say anything, just punches me dead in my shit. I remember being in shock because I was just like, what the hell just happened? And as I get to McDonald's, he just calmly tells me, go ahead and get out of the car and go get your coffee. And I remember just having to like pull myself together, and kind of act like I didn't just get punched in the face by my boyfriend while driving to McDonald's. I got out of the car, I walked inside McDonald's and I said, hi, can I get a large coffee? 8 creamers, 1 sugar. Just like that. I can't even remember what happened the rest of the day, but that was the first time Billy ever hit me. And it just continued after that. It wasn't an everyday thing. Sometimes it wasn't a weekly thing, but he began hitting me after that. Another quick story. One time I was laying on the couch, sleeping, taking a nap, whatever. He slaps me in my face and wakes me up, putting my phone to my face like this, asking me, who is this? A friend of mine that I've known way before I even knew Billy had messaged me on Instagram, and he was not impressed. He was so upset that this person messaged me. Even though I didn't say anything flirtatious, anything like that, he was so mad this person messaged me. He would like embarrass me. He called my friend in front of me and just began talking crazy, trying to fight them, threatening them, all kinds of stuff. And that's embarrassing. Could you imagine you texting your friend or messaging your friend just like, hey, what's up? How have you been? And all of a sudden their boyfriend or girlfriend's calling you and is like, what the fuck you doing talking to her? Because that's basically what he did. It was just so embarrassing. And I just remember being like, this is embarrassing. The abuse can happen in many ways. It doesn't just have to be physical. It could be verbal. It could be mental. It could be like social. I don't know if that's a thing, you know what I mean? But it felt like it to me. So let's get to the cream and butter of the story, right? I don't know if that's a saying. Look, sometimes I just be saying shit, y'all. If it makes sense, it makes sense. If it doesn't, just act like it makes sense. Keep listening to the story. I be doing that sometimes. It's not on purpose. Again, Billy was on probation and parole, and we were out of state. And this particular time, we were riding back to the state he was on probation and parole. It was the morning. I was looking a hot mess, y'all. I was looking crusty and dusty and rusty and just, I was not looking cute that day. And I remember Billy telling me like, girl, you be driving too slow. Go ahead and put that pedal to the metal. You know what I mean? So I'm like, all right, I guess I'll be speeding down the highway. So I got my Paul Walker on, my Vin Diesel, too fast, too furious. And I started zoom, zoom, speeding down the highway. Well, before I know it, I look in the rearview mirror and what do I see? I see those red and blue lights following me. I was getting pulled over, baby. I knew as soon as I saw those lights that Billy was going to get arrested. Mainly because he was on probation and parole in a different state and was out of state without permission. But since I knew that he was going to get arrested, I just remember telling him sorry. And surprisingly, Billy wasn't mad. Looking back, I feel like just with his personality and how he acted, he would have cussed me out or something. But he didn't say anything, really. And the cop comes to the window and he's like, can I get your IDs? After he takes the IDs, I believe he went to his car for a minute and then he came back and he said he wanted to search the vehicle because of the weed smell. But technically, because Billy was in the car, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm pretty sure he was in the right to check the vehicle anyway, just because Billy is on probation and parole. Because see, when you are in trouble with the law like that, especially when you're on terms with the legal system like probation or parole, you really don't have any rights. If you get pulled over and the cop is like, I want to search your vehicle, they can do that. Your rights in those terms of things are gone. So as the cop is searching the vehicle, he pulls out this backpack. And it was this backpack that Billy always carried around. I didn't know what was in this backpack. I knew it wasn't good stuff, but I didn't really know what was in there, right? I don't know what took over me. Without a skip, a beat, a jump, a thought, a millisecond, I said the bag was mine. The cop said, whose bag is this? And I said it was mine. And they went ahead and like arrested me right away. Like he put the handcuffs on, boom. I just remember being like, damn, what I just get myself into? What in the world? I'm type 1 diabetic, right? I had just had some McDonald's. I don't know why I like McDonald's so much, apparently, but I just had some McDonald's and I hadn't taken insulin yet. Look, also at this time of my life, y'all, I didn't take my diabetes that serious. For those who don't know about diabetes, there's a lot that goes into it. Okay. If you're a diabetic and you're watching, you understand what I say that now I take insulin before my meals. During this time, I didn't do that. Okay. So I hadn't taken my insulin yet. As I'm sitting there handcuffed on the side of the road of this freeway, I was like, please, officer, just give me a shot of insulin before you take me to jail. That's all I'm asking because my blood sugar's going to be higher than a kite at the jail. And surprisingly, the officer agreed. So, yep, in handcuffs, I trained the officer on the side of the road how to give me an insulin shot. And I'm like, give me 6 units of that insulin right there. So he does. And he continues to search the car. He finds some firearms and they also charge Billy with that. Really looking back, hindsight, I don't know why I said the bag was mine because regardless, Billy was going to jail. Whether it was for the violation, the possession of the firearm as a felon, he was gonna go to jail. The cops pulled me to the side and they were just kind of like, look, we feel like this isn't yours. There's no way this is yours. You've never been in trouble before. This guy, he's already on probation and parole for drugs. Are you sure what the contents are of this bag are yours? And I wasn't buckling down, baby. That was my man and I was gonna stick beside him.
This is your man.
Yes,
Look at the screen.
that's mine. And I'm gonna stick beside him.
And that's what you're going to settle for.
I'm gonna stick beside him.
So they said, all right, you want to play that game? Send her off to the jailhouse. Now I'm in jail, y'all. While I'm in jail, I'm in what they call a holding cell, right? Because if you've ever been arrested before, what they do is they arrest you, they take you down in the cop car, right? Give you a complimentary drive down to the jailhouse, and they place you into a complimentary room. Very nicely done. Steel walls, steel bench. It's just very plain looking in there. So I'm sitting in there, and I end up meeting this nice older lady. This lady was probably like 60 years old. Kind of became friends, and she had never been to jail before, so we kind of bonded over that. Because I'm like, I ain't never been to jail. You ain't never been to jail. She asked me what I was arrested for. And I said, I don't really even know, to be honest. I'm just kind of in here because I was with my boyfriend and they pulled out his backpack and I didn't want him to get in trouble. So I said it was mine. And I remember this lady looking at me like, girl, you stupid as hell.
Stupid.
They're not.
What's 9 plus 10?
21.
So finally, they take me to go get fingerprinted and all that good stuff. And right before he takes my mugshot, he says, you're being charged with 4 counts of drug possession, 3 of those being felony, 1 misdemeanor. And I said, 3 felony counts? Hold up. Wait, can I go ahead and take back what I said? I don't know what y'all talking about. Oh no, ma'am, it's too late for that. You're being charged with 1 count of possession of marijuana, 1 count of possession of promethazine codeine, over 500 grams, 1 count of possession of 10 ecstasy pills, and 1 count of possession of meth. I said, what? Oh no, sir. Can you relook at that paper? Are you sure that's what they're saying I got arrested for? Ma'am, just looking to the camera. And I remember just being so young and dumb. I remember I smiled like this. And he said, ma'am, you can't tilt your head. So then I smiled like this. And look, let me just put a disclaimer out there. I'm not a crackhead. I look like a crackhead in this photo. I know I do. It's a hot mess. But the reason I want to show you guys is to show you that I have grown so much from this. I am a completely different person now, and I have learned so much through this experience. So let's go all ahead and laugh at me. I'm gonna show y'all my mugshot.
Hey, y'all, come look at this.
Oh God, every time I look at that mugshot, it's just, when y'all are healing and processing stuff, sometimes you just cringe about stuff and you just remember how much you regret that time in your life. Let me give y'all an example. You ever been just scrolling on Facebook and all of a sudden it says, here's a memory from 10 years ago. Here's a memory from 5 years ago. And you click it and you're like, oh, Jesus, I don't want to see this. Well, that's basically my entire life. I'm processing this stuff and it's embarrassing, guys. I'm not going to lie. So please be nice to me. So then I get the orange jumpsuit on. Me and my new friend, we head on down to the pod, baby. Now we in the pod. See, the thing about jail, it's a world inside of a world. It's a completely different program. The weirdest thing about jail to me is they don't tell you how it goes, but they expect you to know how it goes. Oh, I didn't know nothing about jail. I had no idea about jail. It was breakfast time, and me and my little friend, we got our trays and we went and sit down and we ate our breakfast, whatever. Later on that day, a girl comes up to me and says, hey, you was sitting in freaking Big T's spot, whatever. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that was Big T's spot. I was just trying to have breakfast. Yeah, no, you can't sit there. Somebody already got that seat. Oh, I didn't know it was assigned seating. It didn't have a name there. So yeah, so don't sit there again. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. There was another lady I met inside jail. This lady had done 18 long years in prison, gets out on parole, and within 8 months, she is back in jail for possession of meth. We happened to be at the county jail together. So, of course, they all knew I was diabetic because the nurse would call me to go get insulin and stuff. And which that was just a whole mess in itself. My blood sugar was higher than a kite the entire time I was in jail. I was in jail for 4 days, 4 long, strenuous days. And the whole time my blood sugar was up, up, up the entire time. So one of the days I'm there, we get our tray and there's a little piece of pound cake on there. And I remember the lady who did her 18-year stint and was now right back in comes up to me and says, "Let me get your pound cake." And I remember being like, no, I would like to keep it for myself. Oh, okay. I was just trying you because, I know you're diabetic, so I was just seeing if you would give it up. I didn't want to give it up. Plus, I knew that if I gave this lady my cake, she was gonna take my cake every single time we had cake, and I didn't know how long I was gonna be in jail for. But you ain't taking my cake. So me and my friend that I had made in the holding cell, one of the days I was in there, she was like talking about how she feels like there's tension in the pod. Because the way the pod was set up, there's like the center, right? And that's where the TV are. That's where this seating is. You can hang out, whatever. That's where you eat and all that stuff. And then on the left side, there's a bunch of beds. And then on the right side, there's a bunch of beds. And it's just rows of beds, right? And we were on the right side of the pod. She was kind of like, "Hey, have you noticed there's tension on that side of the pod?" And I just remember looking at her like, "Girl, no, I haven't been paying attention. I'm trying to get the hell out of here. I ain't worried about the tension that's going on the damn whatever side of the pod, right?" I'm like, "Girl, we got other things to worry about. I got to get the hell out of here." So my day goes on, and the next day I'm sitting there and sitting at the bench or at the table, whatever. And Pound Cake Stealer comes up to me and she goes, "Hey, you better watch your back." I'm like, "What? Watch my back? What are you talking about?" "I just want to let you know this side of the pod over here, tension's been high because got a couple girls over there that think you're cute and their girlfriends aren't happy about it. It's been causing a lot of drama, so just watch your back." I said, "What? Watch my back? Look, I don't want no smoke, y'all. I ain't trying to be no one's girlfriend. I'm not trying to get beat up. Look, I'm not even supposed to be here, if we're being honest." At this point, I said, "Oh no, ma'am. Something has got to give." So I called my family and bless my family, especially my mom. My mom been there with me through thick and thin, y'all. My mom is my best friend. She is my ride or die. She has been there all of my 9 lives. This lady has seen it all when it comes to me. So I call her. She picks up. And I say, "Look, Mom, please look. Just listen to me. My blood sugar's been higher than a kite. All 4 days I've been in here. Now they're saying that the girls on the left side of the pod want me as their girlfriend. I can't be a girlfriend inmate. I just can't do it. I need you to bond me out. For the love of God, please don't make me stay in here another night." And it wasn't too long after that, the CEO said, "Eilina, back it up." Boy, I got out of there so fast, you would have thought I was Usain Bolt the way I ran out of that damn jail, baby. I ran so freaking fast. But the story doesn't end there. See, Billy was still locked up during all this, right? Billy began calling me and telling me that he wants to get bonded out. Me and his mom worked together and we bonded him out. Now, if I knew what I know now about the legal system, I would have never bonded him out simply because he was already so tied up in the legal system. There was no way they were just going to let him out on bond. He was going to have to sit in jail. I didn't know this at the time. I didn't recognize that. So I bonded him out, right, with the help of his mom. During all this, I done been arrested for drugs. I have seen Billy use drugs. I still didn't think Billy was a drug addict up to this point. When I say, honey, I was delusional, I'm talking like I was delusional. I was crazy, honey. Just living off in my little la-la world while my world's crashing and burning down. It wasn't until this moment I'm about to tell you guys that I finally realized, it finally clicked in my little hollow brain at the time that Billy was a drug addict. I pick him up. We go back to the house. We end the night there, right? I go to sleep. I wake up the next morning. I had a habit of always waking up and just picking up around me. So if Billy left his shirt on the floor, his pants on the floor, if there was anything around, I would just start cleaning it up. And when I get out of bed, Billy's pants are on the floor. So I pick them up to go fold them and place them away. And a meth pipe falls out of Billy's pocket. That's when it clicked for me. I know that sounds crazy, right? I just got arrested and did 4 days in jail for drug possession of stuff that wasn't even mine. And I still didn't think Billy was a drug addict. It didn't take until me seeing that I finally realized that he was a drug addict. And I remember just being so mad that I woke him up and I'm like, what is this? What is going on? Just acting totally oblivious. And Billy was mad at me and told me that I was looking through stuff that I had no business looking through. And at that point, I just remember being like, what have I gotten myself into? Like, oh my gosh. So Billy ends up going back to jail. Billy was only out for like 6 days where they violated him on some other crap. I can't remember if they gave him no bond or if they just made his bond super expensive, but he ended up staying in jail. And that wasn't the end of our relationship, though. Our relationship continued. I still didn't really take Billy for who he was. He showed me time and time again what kind of individual he was, and I just never took heed to it. I dealt with a lot of guilt being with Billy since he was locked up and all of that kind of stuff. It was hard for me to end that relationship with Billy. If you want to leave an abusive relationship, you want to leave an unhealthy relationship, a toxic relationship, you have to take those rose colored glasses off and you have to see that this ain't it. You got to get out of that situation. As for me, I ended up doing 2 years of deferred felony probation, which I successfully completed. They dropped all the charges against me, and it's like it never happened. I really debated on telling this story. This story is vulnerable for me, and it has quite a lot of information about me in this story. But I wanted to show you guys that you can grow from a situation. Anyone who's listening out there that's going through a rough time right now or going through something serious like that, you don't have to stay in that hole. You don't have to keep digging the hole. You can start climbing out of the hole. And I just want for people to see that it is possible. You don't have to stay there. Believe it when someone shows you who they are. Take heed to the signs. This time in my life, this experience of mine, it taught me a lot. I'm thankful for it in many ways, but I'm also regretful and shameful of it in many ways. That's part of the processing, though. I just want to be vulnerable with you guys and show you that I'm not a perfect person. I never will be perfect. So please reach out to me if you want to talk about anything. I am here to listen. Continue working on yourself. Love yourself. Choose yourself, even when it gets hard, even when it feels selfish. We on that way to that glow up, baby. I hope to see you guys next week. And until then, keep picking yourself, baby. Bye.
Healing, it can get so very messy, but when you talk about it, it can feel so healthy. Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Yeah,